All right, everybody, what is going on? Good evening. Uploading very late tonight. I was busy taking care of some stuff, but I do want to get this video up before the end of the day because I want to wrap up our look at Bud Clark before we move on to tomorrow so we can move on to another player. So, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about Bud Clark, and now we're doing tape study, or at the very least, my notes from looking at some tape. I decided to go back to probably his best game of the 2025 season, Iowa State. This was the game where he had 2 interceptions and overall did have pretty good performance. And you do notice some things when you actually go through the tape for a game like this that show you how thin the margins are. So it was not perfect. And when you really study tape on a player who plays safety and slot corner a lot, you do start to pick up on some things that otherwise slip through. This video is sponsored by PrizePicks. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it here. So in this game against Iowa State, Bud Clark had 6 tackles, 2 picks, allowed 2 catches on 3 targets for 35 yards. The PFF page said he had 1 penalty, but I couldn't find the penalty. So I don't know what happened. Maybe it was on special teams, but I couldn't find it when I was watching the defensive cut up. And it was every defensive play, so I should have seen it if it was defensive. But you can look at the splits. 38 snaps as a box safety, 23 as a slot corner, 8 as a free safety, 1 on the defensive line. The defensive line snap, I think, was in like a 4th and 1 situation where everybody was up on the line. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and go through. We got a lot to get through here. A lot of action in the first quarter alone. We got almost a whole page worth of stuff from the first quarter. First play of the game, he drops deep to double the wide receiver, and then he comes up in run support. So that's the kind of stuff that people talk about when they say he's willing in run support, even if he's not an amazing tackler. He is willing to get involved even on plays where he has to come up from deep. Doesn't really impact the play. The tackle is made before he gets there. But the very next play, the second play of the game, he gets beat like a drum by Sowell, excuse me, on Iowa State. Sowell's running a slot go or a slot fade, whatever you want to call it. And I think Bud Clark falls down. He stumbles and falls. And the pass is just bad. Like, this was a 55-yard touchdown probably. And Clark, I mean, it was on him. He fell over. And Sowell just didn't get a chance. Bad throw by, what's his name, Rocco Becht. So very lucky there. Very lucky he didn't start with a very bad low light. Next play, he picks up the tight end in the seam. Ball goes elsewhere. So variety of things you're seeing on this initial drive. Next play with 12:47 in the first quarter, he sprints back to pick up an outside receiver on a cornerback blitz. And because he's so focused on getting over the top to allow the cornerback to blitz, he misses the fact that it's a run play. So he ends up deep down the field away from the play. Not much to say there. 11:52 left. This is a play that doesn't look so great to me. He's in the slot. He's allowing heavy cushion on 3rd and long. And to my eye, he gives up too much ground. He's just playing a little too soft here. And he ends up allowing an easy completion to convert a 3rd and long because the pressure doesn't get home. And he allows the first down. I think what may have happened here, based on what I can see from the tape, is that he followed the wrong receiver to the inside and he left the outside wide open. I think he may have instinctually, or who knows why, just followed the wrong receiver on this snap. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the PrizePicks app, where it always feels good to be right. PrizePicks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. PrizePicks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. PrizePicks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on PrizePicks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about team picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. A little bit later on 3rd and 8, he's playing the deep safety role, just kind of watching the play from over the top, just basically dropping to depth and trying to figure out who is the guy he needs to shadow over towards. So seeing a little bit of the deep safety stuff as well, but it's interesting that in this particular game, he doesn't do a ton of it, which is kind of good for me because it's easier to see what he's doing when he's closer to the line. Next drive for TCU's defense, and by the way, TCU's offense in this game was rough. So the TCU defense constantly finds himself back out on the field. He shows some nice movement on a box safety rep on a run play. He actually does a good job dodging and shaking the block pretty quickly and getting involved in the play. I don't think he makes the tackle here or anything like that, but I like the way he worked off the block. That's something that he's typically not great at, but it shows he is willing. 140 left in the first quarter. He gets off a block from the slot to crash down towards the running back. Again, doesn't make the tackle, but he does pinch the play down. And when I see stuff like that, it does remind me that he's not soft. He's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid of tackling. Sometimes he just doesn't get there because that's how it goes sometimes. 115, he picks up another slot go route. And slot go routes are actually one of the routes that tend to give him some trouble. So we see him aggressively sprinting to get over the top on this particular play. So you do see him open up his hips quickly, but he's trying to make sure he doesn't get beat deep. And that gets us to our second quarter here, where there is, again, plenty of stuff to talk about. He comes up hard on a 4th and 2 run. He comes up from, I believe, deep on 4th and 2, or not deep, but deep-ish. And he ends up kind of overrunning it and gives up a cutback for the first down. So not a great rep. Again, it's a 4th and 2. He probably would have gotten it anyway, but you could kind of look at that play and go, Clark gave up the cutback. 14:39 in the second. He does a good job crashing down from the slot onto the running back to force the run back inside. So it's things like this where you don't get credit for it statistically, but you look at the tape, it looks like you're doing your job. Another play, next play in the second quarter, kind of sort of does the robber roll. He's kind of doing robber stuff where he acts like he's dropping back and then comes up. He does end up in man coverage, though, because he does end up picking up somebody, and the guy does a pretty good job juking him to get open, but Clark is able to recover and not allow a completion. I think he does get pseudo-targeted here, but it's nowhere near a completion. A little bit later, 9:42 in the second quarter, he comes up aggressively from the safety to fill a run hole, and he does dive at the ankles a little bit, which is not necessarily what you want. He does make the tackle, and it is an effective tackle, but the form that he shows is pretty suboptimal. So you see areas where he needs to be a little bit better as a tackler. So I do think that you look at stuff like that and you're like, okay, I understand why he's diving at ankles because he is a smaller guy. Hopefully that gets better though. Much later in the game, so there's not a lot that happens. 2:22 in the second quarter. He's giving up a 10-yard cushion on a slot play, and he gets targeted on a short out. But there's immediate pressure from the TCU defense, and I imagine Clark would have given up a short completion on this play were it not for the pressure. So he's kind of playing off, which is fairly common, but you're kind of allowing yourself to get picked up hard underneath when you do it, and it's something that's going to be even harder to get away with at the NFL level. So the 2:17 play is kind of your money play here. This is probably the best play he had all game by a long shot. He's in the slot, giving up about an 8-yard cushion at the snap, and they run the slot fade again on him. And the quarterback, Rocco, throws it up for him to the receiver. And Bud Clark does a brilliant job picking it up. Tight coverage, right on top of the receiver. No contact, just really good coverage. And he showcases his elite ball skills to make the pick about 21 yards down the field. The way he attacked the ball, the way he went after it, the way that he just would not let the receiver win in a spot where the throw was actually pretty good is stellar. Like, this is the kind of play that Bud Clark brings to the table that is really exciting. It's the correct route for the coverage. Like, it's a one-on-one situation, and the quarterback just throws it up and asks his receiver to go make a play. and Clark just snatches it out of the air. It's brilliant stuff. It's not even a thing where the quarterback does anything all that wrong. Maybe the receiver could have played the ball a little bit more aggressively, but it's a great play. Fast forward now to 7:36 left in the third quarter. He's in the slot. He fades back and reads run and comes up hard to make the play. He does come up a little tentative in my mind. I do think he came up a little bit kind of passively, and he does dive at the ankles again. So we're still seeing some of that suboptimal form. But again, his playing weight was probably like 190. So we need him to bulk up a little bit and start tackling with a little bit more assertiveness. So 7:36 in the third quarter, you see that again, not unwilling, just suboptimal form. Fast forward a lot again to the 3:27 mark in the third. Playing deep safety, he drops back and he dives for his second interception of the game. Now, this one was a pass that was broken up by the cornerback and knocked up into the air, and then Clark dives for it, so it's great. It's awesome. But the cornerback is kind of the guy you really want to praise here, admittedly. Clark was just playing deep safety, saw the ball bounce up, and went to go get it. But, hey, he's the one with the interception on his ledger, so great play by him. And then we get into the fourth quarter. This is where things went really bad for TCU. They went into the fourth quarter with, early in the fourth, they had an 11-point lead. Iowa State got the ball, and then everything just kind of dropped out. The bottom dropped out. Now, Bud Clark wasn't super involved in blowing the lead. One of the plays that blew the lead was a punt return touchdown. With 12:34 left in the fourth quarter, he's blocked out of the play on a shotgun draw. Don't know if you can really punish him too much for it. I'm not here to say that he should have worked his way through the block of a tight end, by the way, because that's what it was on this play. But you do see him getting pushed back and ultimately being part of the giving up big yards on the play. Then with 10:53 left in the fourth quarter, he makes a really nice play against a quarterback option. He slips underneath a lead block on the quarterback option, running to the outside. And this is inside the 10-yard line. This is around the goal line. And he does a really good job forcing the quarterback to go back inside and then takes him out at the legs for a 2-yard gain. And again, diving at the legs a little bit, okay, but at the same time, the quarterback is much bigger than him, and I get it on some level. But this was a really nice play by him. He slipped the block. The block was there, and he just evaded it really well. Now, we don't see Clark again do anything significant until Iowa State's trying to run out the clock. So you get to 3:47. This is kind of the big play that felt like this was kind of ball game almost. Third down. I think it's like 3rd down and 7 or something like that. And Bud Clark's lined up in the slot. He's given up a big cushion, and the receiver runs a slant route, gets open, not by much, but he gets open, and Rocco hits him for a first down that allows Iowa State to take more time off the clock. And it doesn't end the game for TCU, but it was a massive play in this game. And looking at the tape, it feels like he hedged to the outside a little bit and couldn't recover all the way when the receiver ran the slant. Like he was expecting something to the outside. So, not a good rep, and that was kind of one of the big trademark plays of this game. A little bit later, with 3:02 left in the fourth, he comes up from safety on a draw to make a decent but softish tackle. You're seeing the fact that, again, willing, but he needs more strength so he can actually tackle the right way. And that was it. TCU did lose this game. Clark didn't have a lot to do with it. He did make some bad plays, and I did note them here, but overall, I do think that he played a good game. 2 interceptions. You did your job. And the main reason why TCU ultimately lost was because they gave up an 80-yard punt return touchdown. And what else are you going to say about that? So, yeah, Bud Clark, this showed you what he brought to the table. He's lining up everywhere. He's box. He's free. He's slot. All over the place. He's covering deep. He's showing the ball skills. A lot to like. But that tackling, man, a lot of diving at the ankles. It really shows up even in a game like this. Gonna have to get better. All right. Sorry this is so late, but I was busy. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a great rest of your day, or now night. And we're moving on to another player tomorrow. Go Hawks.